ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is yet another edition of Focus on Liberia, our business and economic forum. Keep tuned. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to our Business and Economic Forum. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Our guest tonight, Mr. William King, all the way from Southern California. William, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
By the way, Mr. King is from the generation of President Charles D.B. King, am I correct?
Yeah, oh, that CDB King talk. CDB King, but I got nothing to do with that Firestone lease. So we not go there.
And you got nothing to do with the elections too.
Yeah, exactly. I just know he won. He was a man of the people.
All right. Next is Mr. Alex Chuchu Jones. Mr. Jones, welcome to Focus on Liberia. No relations to G. Alvin Jones. Am I right?
No relations. And by the way, we're not going to talk about CDB King today.
Oh, man.
We're going to see where Mr. Williams King got all his millions from.
Oh, man.
All right, so gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is a continuation of our business and economic forum. And how you doing today? How business? How the Liberian stock market?
I think I'll let you take a crack at that one, William.
But on a serious note, I know I was tonight, our topic is going to be a continuation of our Liberia Diaspora investments. That's what we're going to be taking a stop at. We discussed this last week, and by popular demand, people want more of this. So we want to continue where we start from. But before we go there, I know our schedule is going to be changing. Mr. King is going to first start off with a summary of where we came from last week. But before that, our schedule for the Business and Economic Forum will be changing. I want Mr. Jones to speak to that and also to give us a preview of why we think we need to change it, the importance of this Business and Economic Forum, and why are we moving to a different date. Mr. Jones.
Thank you so much, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, I recall when we first discussed about, having a show that was non-political, and it was just an experiment, that if we talked about something other than politics, would people be interested? And it's been fascinating, the amount of people who have had interest so much in the topic, the amount of guests, the connections, the commendations, and so forth. So I'm very, very pleased and happy that we can have a forum that just discusses how we can build our country regardless of who's in power or what political party you're from. I think it's been a couple months now, if not longer, since we started the show.
Can you talk a little louder?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay, so it's been a couple months now since we started the show. But I must say, one of the things I want to do is I want to thank Dr. Gumpu. For he was one of the first co-hosts on this show, and his input to the show was enormous. So we're very grateful. He cannot join us on Wednesday because of his teaching obligation, but he contributed immensely to the success of the Business and Economic Forum. So wherever he is, if he's watching, let's call him Dr. G. Thank you for all your help and your contribution and all.
Volume. We need volume.
Okay. So the next thing I want to focus on is also that the Business and Economic Forum is more than just a show. It's also to bring Africans together, Africans in the area of finance, investment, management, accounting together so that we can actually take the lead in developing Africa. So that was the concept of the whole Business and Economic Forum. Find a place, a media place where you can talk about things from a business or economic standpoint rather than a political standpoint or humanitarian standpoint or any of the other, perspective. So, and so far the interest has been amazing. We have Mr. Amrai in Sierra Leone, who's a part of the team, in fact, part of the whole FOL. So we have this weekend, we have a surprise with another, I would say one of the participants going to be on the show this weekend. So it's been a pleasure and an honor, and I've met so many people since the show, and including Mr. Williams, who is a very, very progressive and fascinating and energetic person. So as we move to Saturday to enable more Liberians to be able to watch the show because of the time difference, so we are moving to Saturday at 3 o'clock every Saturday on FOL at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be hosting the same show, the Business and Economic Forum for Africa. So again, it's been a pleasure, and I hope to be around and help bring development to Liberia and Africa as a whole. Thank you, Dennis, for your time too. And
thank you. And let me go to you, Mr. King. I know you watched the show before you joined it, and talking about what is trending normally on in our political social media platforms is mainly politics. How did you find this forum where we discuss, even though you cannot divide economics from politics, but with this being purely business and economic, how is it resonating with folks out there? You being one of them who was not part of it, now you're part of it. And what encouraged you to join this, and what are people saying in your community?
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for having me on. I think you asked a very good question. I think, I was drawn to it mostly from a place of passion, wanting to find a space on how I can support and improve our Liberia, more importantly, the quality of life for our Liberians, fellow men. And from the political side, it is not something that I can honestly say that has a very ingrained interest for me from the political side. And so for me, the space that I find is from the economic side. How is it that I can do it? And your show focus on Liberia. At this time, I think there's just been a huge influx of shows on Liberia via Facebook. And I believe I had joined Focus on Liberia maybe a while back, but I know it popped up in my notification feed, and I said, you know what? Let me chime in. Let me see what they're having a conversation about. And it was you, Alex, Samuel, and it was Dapu. And just the way you guys were talking, I was like, oh, this is a space that is something that I feel that I can begin to contribute and that we can socialize and speak about. So that's what drove me to focus on Liberia. And over here in Southern California, let me tell you, when we Liberians get together in Southern California, we speak and we talk about, more than anything, we talk about the political climate, and we talk about what's going on, and everybody is getting news because, in Liberia, everyone is connected, even to the diaspora. And so we speak about this, and very rarely, sometimes when we speak about economics, the most economic we'll speak about maybe someone having a thought about maybe buying a land by the beach and building their home. That's the most as you get into the whole economic side. So having a space like this really is like a godsend.
Thank you. And folks, if you are just joining us, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is the Business and Economic Forum, and you're wondering what I'm wearing. It's just Mark Zuckerberg, man.
Is he coming to Liberia?
So we want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Welcome to our Business and Economic Forum. This is where we talk economics, we talk money, the MOCO, the Lajan. So we're discussing the Liberia Diaspora investment, right? And last week we started that. So let me go back to you, William, to give us a summary.
A quick summary. Yeah, definitely. I mean, last week for those who didn't join us, we had a very good, heavy discussion. At the very top, let me say that we recognize the protests, we recognize the injuries, and how it was a sad time, and we hope Godspeedy recovery for the students who are injured. We talked about the economy, the challenges, and one of the questions we had was, with the influx of capital, of money that goes to Liberia from the Liberians in the diaspora, remittance, how is it that there exists not a mechanism for which we Liberians in the diaspora can invest, can do something to help grow our economy? How is it that we feel that we're not part of our economy while there are other foreigners that are in the economy? So we discussed that in debt, and we asked the other question, which is, does Liberia have a money market or capital market, which is what? A place where we can come and maybe invest in companies, a place where we could maybe buy bonds or we could sell shares. Does Liberia have anything like that? And so those were some of the topics that we covered, and we compared that to some of the other markets, mainly U.S. and some companies, also companies like ArcelorMittal that currently is in Liberia, and is traded on the capital markets. And so we talked about the value that have if Liberia could be there in that market, and how can we begin? How can we start to become stakeholders and not just participant in our economy? That's where some of the key points that we touched on.
Thank you. So today, Alex, give us a preview of what we're going to be discussing today when we say part 2 of Liberia Diaspora investment.
Well, everything is going to be on the table, and we hope that people will call and ask questions. Basically, a good part of the diaspora of Liberia live in America, and the question is, these are the highest income earners in our society, and these are people who are the most savvy or most educated people. So they are aware of retirement plans. They're aware of savings account. We live in a very industrious country. So why can't we tap into that particular group? That's basically what this show and subsequent shows will be all about. How can we now engineer or fashion some kind of program where Liberians who live in the US and in London and in places around Europe that are, have disposable income, have the means, and want to see the country do well. Up to now, there haven't been any talk of it. There has not been any implement. There haven't been any security or that people can invest in the country. So this is basically we've been fashioning with the King. I think is reading some proposals, and I've been working with him over the last couple of weeks, and to find a great balance. And this is not political, so you're not helping or hurting any political party. This is a private investment with the hope that the people of Liberia can, find it fit to invest in a country, regardless of who's there. We're talking about education investment. We're talking about healthcare investment. We're talking about food, agriculture, technology, and other things. So basically, banking, finance. So we want to take over our economy, and all of us cannot pack up tomorrow and go back home. But we can be a source of capital flow in our country, and that's basically what we're talking about tonight.
Great. And two words jump out of me: investment and capital, right? So when we say Liberia diaspora investment, or ways in which we can invest in Liberia, I want you to, give me some examples. What does that mean? And oftentimes when we think of investors, we are thinking of white people. People should come in our country and invest. So what does it mean to invest? Who can invest? And what are some of the ways in which we can invest in Liberia, especially looking at our economy, which by all indications is not doing so well? Mr. King.
Well, you bring up something very important. I think you kind of have to split that into two different pieces. One is, when you're talking about investments, we're not speaking mostly about at the mom and pop level, which is important. Don't get me wrong. That is very critical. Liberians, we do remit money home, to whether it's to buy a land or to start building a home, or to help with school fees and so forth. So that type of a money flow really is from the consumer side. So although we are making the economy in Liberia turn, that's not the economy that we're referring to, not that part of the economy that we're referring to. The part of the economy that we're mostly referring to is the one where you pretty much pool, or you attract various investments in a large quantity to impact change at a macro level. And so far, that has been a little bit something that has been a little elusive for us Liberians. We don't seem to kind of get an idea or figure out how we can kind of do it or make it happen. There isn't anything. But you hear many times over and over where very well-to-do doctors, engineers, lawyers, business professionals in the U.S. that are Liberians looking to do something back home, but they end up coming back with a lot of cuts and bruises. And really, it's the lone wolf that kind of goes out there. And of course, sometimes if you're a lone wolf, even a lone wolf has like his pack. Because if you go out there, you're going out there amongst other wolves. And it's just the whole nature of the economy in Liberia that it just eats you up and it spits you out if you go out there in a very singular way and not trying to get an understanding how there are major other macro factors that has to be dealt with.
So I know, Ellis, that was a loaded question. If you can continue where Mr. King stopped.
Yeah, basically, what we're trying to do is take control of our economy, take control of our country. Like Trump can say, take your country back, okay? And the way you do that is you do that with money. You do that with ownership. I see a lot of people fighting on what is dual citizenship and other issues. But to me, it's nonsense. Because it doesn't make any sense, whether you're in Liberia or you're in America or you have dual citizenship or not. If you do not have the capital to invest in your economy, it means nothing, or it means very little. The only thing you'll be fighting over is a empty pot, which is what I call the government. The government does not have money. Okay, the Liberian government is broke. They are living on, and not just this government, but subsequent governments, including Ellen Johnson government. They are surviving. So think about it. Let's assume that you're in your household, that your expenditure, your bills are $2,000, right? And you're only making $500 every month. That's how the Liberian government is operating. They're operating on kindness, gifts, donations. They don't have enough revenue. They don't have. So what we're saying, there's a big pool of people in Liberia, outside of Liberia and within Liberia, that can invest and meet the difference. I think it was John Maynard King that says that whenever the economy itself cannot generate jobs and output, then the government has to come and facilitate the private investment in order to grow. And we saw that during 2008 crisis. We saw that during the Great Depression. We see that in China. We saw that in Singapore. So what's lacking is that the idea on how you do it. So many Liberians, they all want a solution. They all want better lives. I haven't met a Liberian person that told me, I don't want Liberia to be great. I don't want us to run our economy. But I have not met many Liberians that said this is how you do it. And so, and to his credit, Mr. King is one of those who, when I read his PowerPoint and spoke with him, and I was very impressed because it was one metrics that one measures that we were just wasn't taking any we're not bringing into consideration. We're not looking at if you have 200,000 to 300,000 Liberians abroad in a developed country, even if they were to invest 5% of the income in a fund that is designated to help build schools in Liberia, not from a charity standpoint, but from an investment standpoint that will pay teachers very well, or to build a clinic, you're talking about, tens of millions of dollars over a period of time. So that's something that, of course, the government has ignored. Successive governments in Liberia have ignored because I would say out of ignorance. So their measure has been to go around with a begging bowl, to go to IMF, go to France, go to America, and say, hey, please give us $2 million or $5 million to meet our budget. That is not investment. Investment is something you put aside so it grows, not something you get to pay your employees. So that's exactly what we're talking about here. How can Liberians take charge of the economy by first coming together beyond politics? And that's what this show is about. I can care less what Mr. King's political affiliation is. It's irrelevant to me. Or what Dennis's political party is. I don't care. But if we, three of us, can come together and say, let's talk economics. Let's talk about how we can build more schools in Liberia or hospitals and make a buck for our people. Then, do I care if he's Unity Party or CDC? No, because we have a common interest. So that's what this is about, and that's the crusade that we're on. We're going to roll this out before the end of the year. We're going to create a fund that's going to be designated for Liberians to participate. This is not a fund that the government is going to control. This is not a fund that the political party is going to control. It's going to be something where the fund will select people of good character and morals to serve on its board of directors. The fund will be in a trust. So it's not something where you invest in it and the next thing you know, okay, you can't find a person because they just took a position in Liberia. So that's what we're talking about. Other than the traditional way to say with the 2023 or with and remove George Weah, or George Weah to say, let me win election again. What we're saying that if you're part of the political parties or the opposition or the government, what we should be doing right now is how we can get together to invest in Liberia. Again, it's not investing in any party. It's not investing in any government.
Thank you. You are stressing that political side a lot. Now we've been joined by our...
I hate politics, so...
Well...
I detest it, so, Well,
let me welcome Mr. Depu Zuo. That's our... If someone who's been working on the ground, both has a university lecturer and also an economic consultant to the government of Liberia. In fact, he has some fingerprint on the pro-poll agenda. Mr. Zuo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Sajah, Alice, and King. Briefly listened to the start of the show, and I think it's a very good conversation from last week. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here because of some other engagement. I believe that what I heard King discussing and Ellis were trying to support in terms of diaspora engagement is a very good initiative. As I said the last time, the government of Liberia has what we call domestic resource mobilization strategy that was prepared, supported by UNDP, the World Bank, the rest of the people. Is good talking about diaspora bond and other things. But before we go into the government side of it, It's something that even when I was in the United States here as a student, sometime back in 2005, 2006, and it's still observing and discussing and raising with the community leaders, and I still think that it's one of the fundamental problems that we have in our economy stay down is that, first of all, the Liberians that are in America who are not Americans or resident here, how do we really understand the American economy? How do we really participate in it? There are many opportunities that we're supposed to actually, be involved with it to build our economic life, and not much we are taking advantage of. If you look at the Liberian community realistically, individuals fighting to put up a little shop, African store, and rest of things, and you realize that just here in the United States, one of the major areas that wealth can come from is just, let's say, insurance, which is like income protection. You realize many of the Liberians, when they die today, people start collecting $10, $50 to bury the person. How many person here actually say you have a life insurance whole life that have a cash benefit? You can go and take a loan from there and take your own cash and invest it and turn it around before you leave it for your kids. And these are wealth creation, opportunity that are here. Besides that, how many Liberians here that say, in terms of the stock market, I'm buying share of this. In fact, trading for this week, I'm fighting for Apple. Oh, I put my cash in Apple last year, and now this is my value for this year. So I'm going to reinvest that money, diversify my portfolio to another area, so that the Liberians themselves, the younger generation that are here, we're talking about, can now become wealth owner. They can create wealth for themselves before we talk about Liberia. So these are some of the things, the fundamental thing about diaspora, because the thing about it is that I must give credit to the Liberian in the United States. From 1990 up to now, they have will and actually produce and shield the economy throughout from their remittances. But the personal funded hourly job is not sufficient to give that investment capital that you will need to really pick up the economy as people. So it's something that we have to, since it's about diaspora discussion, so I want to first of all come on here and say, what are we doing before we go back? So that's one thing I just want to raise.
In essence, just like in the plane, they say when there's any, when oxygen is out, make sure you put on your mask first before helping others.
Good, that's it. And let me say this. Just yesterday, I was doing a review of the wages in America and looking at the inflow, and you realize that I called my daughter to come and look at it. You see that the black, they got the lowest median income for the $1,000, and you followed by the Hispanic. The group that are topping as the Asians are even still topping the whites in terms of racial, disparity. They are into 80,000 median income. So why? They have come into the economy and say, what do we do? We're going to get share of this economy. That's why you see China, you see Korea, you see India, and you see them becoming powerful because they have decided themselves to integrate themselves into the American economy. And first of all, understand it and roll it. Once they have failed, they understand that very well, then they start doing a lot. Even if there's an excess capital from them, then that becomes an opportunity for their home country. Right. So that's one thing I just want us to look at.
Mr. King, you are an average real estate entrepreneur. Mr. Zuo has brought in a little twist in the discussion saying, hey, we have to put on our own masks first in the United States before thinking, because if we don't have that financial foundation, we may not impact, we may not invest on a larger scale the way we really intend to.
Okay, thank you. I think that what the gentleman brought up, he's definitely on a point in terms of if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, definitely an individual will look to make sure that he secures his home base first. The other thing though that I do want to point out, that I want to stress is, what I'm speaking about is the option that for those Liberians who share a passion and who want to see and do something done in Liberia, and that are maybe above or have settled with the Maslow hierarchies where they're taking care of their basic needs. When they turn to say, okay, I have a 401k, I'm working in corporate America, and so forth, and every month money comes out of my paycheck, and they want to do something in Liberia. When they turn to look, there isn't anything there. And I think that even anything small. Now, let me give you an example, and I'll pass the mic. So in Senegal, the beginning of this year, March or April, through their housing bank, they sent out or they issue, I think it was a $30 million bond. $30 million. It was out there for about 3 weeks. And I think each bond cost about $10, and it was giving you 6.5%. And they send it out throughout the entire diaspora community, but more important to the international community, whoever would like to invest in something like this. And they were able to sell those notes and take that money to do what they wanted to do with it from the housing perspective. Now, we as Liberians, whether we think Liberia is a safe place to invest in or not, what I'm simply saying or suggesting is that give us the option. Give us the option, and right now we don't have it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to be part of the conversation, please call our conference line. That's 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. This is the Liberia Diaspora investment topic. That's the topic we are discussing. So please call in, join the queue so that you can be part of this conversation. Alex, let's continue with that same trend of thought that we were talking earlier about ways in which we can invest. So Mr. Zuo say, let's have some strong standing first. Let's take care of our income here, even though he's not objecting to diaspora investment. So with our median income here as Liberian immigrants, with our financial standing, what are some of the ways in which we can invest in Liberia that's not going to cause us the financial stress, or that we can still be able to take care of ourselves here?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of good Liberian opportunities. Let's take something like even a bakery in Liberia right now. Okay, a bakery. You don't need $1 million to build a bakery in Liberia. Maybe a few $1,000, maybe 20, 30, maybe $100,000. People have to eat bread. People have to, a company, a carpentry shop that can make desks and furniture for whether the public or the private sector. Those are all things that you need capital in order to, to grow it. And the problem with Liberian businesses is not that they're lazy or they don't love their country or they don't want to work hard. The thing is, they don't have a capital. They don't have the capital base, and they don't have the investment. Like we said, the government and most of the banks in Liberia do not invest in entrepreneurs. Okay, so as great as this country is, and I'll go on the record telling you, there's no company in America, including your beautiful Apple, Google, JB Morgan, that can survive for more than a month if their capital were cut off. I'll repeat that. There's no company in America that can survive for more than a month if they were to take away all of the loans and the capital investment. So think about if America, a company like Apple, will go bankrupt, and you saw during 2010 and 2008, how many companies, GE and all these companies that have billions of dollars in terms of products sales, most of them were falling. Wachovia Bank, and you can go down the list. Lehman Brothers have been around for 200 years. 1 week or 2 weeks of lack of capital flow, they folded. So when people be talking about development in Liberia, the fact is they don't understand what development is and don't understand what investment is. If you have a country where there's no investment, there is no pool of income going towards businesses, whether it's schools or it's going to producing food. Everybody talk about agriculture. Everybody in Liberia think that Liberia is supposed to be a green revolution state. I agree. Where's the money going to come from? To do agriculture in a mechanized way, you need equipment. Okay, you need management. You need land. You need water, filtration system. You need fertilizer. So what do we have right now that I can take an agriculture farm and say, okay, we're going to invest $2 or $3 million in your company for the next 2 to 3 years so that you can be able to grow food. But every politician will tell you green revolution, will tell you, hey, let's invest in agriculture. And they have not an idea on how to do it. There is no agriculture company in the world that would survive 1 week if they didn't have financing, including your Kema Soup or your British company. In fact, in these countries, the government subsidizes the farmers. In other words, they give them free money to grow food that would not be sold. So the problem is to a big degree, is ignorance. Most of our people don't understand simple economics. So I challenge them, like, go to Europe, go on the internet right now and say, how much how much the farmers in America have been subsidized? How much the farmers in Europe have been subsidized? How much the farmers in China has been subsidized? So the next time you open your mouth to say, hey, let's go and do agriculture in Liberia, the question you should be asking yourself is, where is the money going to come from to pay the workers, to buy the equipment, to buy fuel? Agriculture is a fuel-intensive business. So I'll stop there and just say that what we're trying to say here is that we know that the government doesn't have the money on its own, but it can be it's a partnership, public-private diaspora partnership. We all have to get together. We can talk politics on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but on Friday and Saturday, let's come together and say, hey, listen, what's your idea? How can we get together to improve one area in Liberia? One simple area, fishing, for instance. We're still importing fish from abroad when we have the big 65 miles of coastal area. Why? Because we don't have the capital investment to go and buy fishing boats, to hire a management. Maybe it might cost $2-3 million. So what we're seeing here is that we're not looking at the problem, we're looking at the solution. Okay? If we can come together to say, hey, let's set up a fund, that will take money from here. And your question was, how can we do it in a sustained way that we can sleep at night? Nobody telling you to go take your children's education and go invest it in any fund or any Liberia or anywhere. But the money you take to go drink beer 3 or 4 times a week, the money you take to go buy that shoes at Ado or someplace that you're never going to benefit from it, maybe $50 a week. If you took that money and you put it in a fund that is geared towards helping Liberians get jobs and building industry, you'll be creating jobs. You'll be solving the problem. You'll be solving the political problem, and yourself wouldn't know it.
Right. Let me bring in Mr. Zoe. I had a question for him, but it looked like I can see he wants to come in to say
Zoe
something.
wanted to come in. Zoe got that 1-2 punch ready.
Let me say this. Then it's one of the things the reason why I raise this concern is not about, I'm not saying Liberians are not they're prepared and this and that, but the thing I'm looking at is that in development, the first thing you need to do, but there must be a saving accumulation to lead to investment. So people who are here, Liberians that are here, the first thing that there is that, are we really concerned about how are we doing? And the main thing that we need to be doing here is the preparation on how we build our own capital resources to invest. Now, I think one of the main things that Liberians have done is to support their family members, as I said. But how many of the Liberian young people, professionals are doing capital pool? If you want to do a capital pool and make sure that you have an investment financing that is saved somewhere, you can now look for another company to make sure that they buy share in such a company. You got bigger opportunity here that you can mobilize resources compared to what it is in Liberia. This is what I'm trying to say, because you need to have like-minded people sitting there and say, how do I invest? It's not about myself, it's about a bigger picture that we see. How many young people that are here, Liberian young people that are thinking about investment? In fact, you don't necessarily have to only think about Liberia. There are other countries in Africa that are very safe that you can put your money there while you're thinking about Liberia instability. What are we doing? So these are the questions that I'm raising earlier while we're going through the debate, because they come to the African diaspora. In fact, African Union have realized and know that what comes from the diaspora support to Africa surpasses actually what the foreign direct investment that go to Africa. And that finding is clear. So why is it that since the diaspora remittances is something that become a major source of income, how can we translate that into real investment capital to say, instead of giving $10, $20 to a family member every week and say, look, as of now, instead of the Liberia Association in Minnesota, the one in Philadelphia, say, look, we give ourselves 5 years. The $10 that we are collecting, as of now, we are opening a special account. Right. Even if it's from an NGO, it should be a matching grant.
That's what I was coming. That's what I was coming to give me some specific examples of what we can do. And
so like that, you can have a matching grant. I can give you an example with our organization. We have our church organization here called UNICAF, United Liberian Church Association in France. Our students and other people who are just refugees, many old people just collected $10. And we collected the $10. In the end, other rich churches match the $10 and we acquire land. Today we have a college in Ghana that provide one of the applied economic school, applied agriculture program in Liberia. So what we do here as diaspora Liberia is to see how best, first of all, to prepare ourselves, put our own strategy together, and come into the picture before a plan. Besides, most of the NGO, many Liberians are having their private NGO. They're doing that, and you can source capital from here to finance activity in Liberia. And it's the same thing the Israelites are doing here to support back home. Most of the Africans are also doing that. When it comes to the private sector side, what I'm saying here is that how prepared are we? How many percent that are mobilizing? Let's say technology. I just engaged one Liberian who left. He was computer engineer. He's now in Philadelphia. He left and came to America. He was running a computer school. Now he sits here, he's trying to see how best to do an hourly job. And I said, look, that cannot even say graduate you from anywhere. The first thing that there is that the hourly job won't take you anywhere. What you just need to do now is to mobilize a capital and see and do a blueprint investment plan and tell the guy that, look, the Lebanese are selling computer, electronic to offices. What is sold here on the market for $350, they sell it to government for $1,200. You see the margin? So how do you do assessment? And you look at the sales and loan to government, what do you do? Or you go to private sector. How do the companies that are importing computers from Asia, how can you compete with them? But instead of sitting there and saying you're going to do an hourly job, no, you cannot graduate from that. You can never get rich from that. All I'm saying is that Liberians are we should get conscious of that and say, no, we are going to put our capital together to invest in Africa.
Therefore, yeah.
Hold on. Let me bring on a caller. Then we can.
Thank you.
Caller, your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller. 801-986-70. Okay. Go ahead, William.
you bring up so many things. I don't even know where to kind of start on maybe a few things. So I would just pick one. The idea here is that we all as a whole, whether we like it or not, we partake in investments. Whether it's through our 401k or our savings, we partake in investments. And also the other thing is that regardless of how things may look, we all at a point in time this year will send money back to Liberia, maybe 1, 2, or 3 times or 4 times. We'll always send money back. And the other point is that when you look at the school and the things that you're doing with your college over there, isn't it a little bit scary when you look at how many college graduates will be graduating, and the idea hits that, hey, how many of these will have an employment? That's a very scary situation to kind of be in, where we are producing educated people, but we have no system in place to absorb some of those folks. And the capital market structure is a little bit different than the nonprofit structure. Whereas, the capital structure, it allows you to do a lot more. It allows you to leverage some of the capital that you have in there. Now, we're talking about today technology. We're talking about crowdfunding, crowd pooling resources and everything like that together, but in a structured way. And nowadays we have that ability to really mobilize and get it done. But it's how we market, how we speak about it, how we educate, how we share with Liberians here what it's about. Because to be honest with you, if you just take 200,000 of us Liberians here, and if in Liberia there was a bond and it was marketed, I'm just using that, it doesn't have to be that, but it was marketed to Liberians here, and it's $10. It's just going out there, communicating that, and see what happens in terms of what are the sentiments and how people feel, and then we can kind of go from there. So we kind of crawling. These roadblocks that you kind of mentioned are roadblocks that many nations face. But despite that, they still move forward. Now, the good thing about having something like this is that you open it up to the world. And so the world, there are people who are just looking for a good yield, a good return on their investments. And if it's in Liberia, believe you me, we may just catch a few of them.
Yeah, so Mr. King, I think you and I are not saying anything different. I just gave an example with non-profit, and also gave me an example for profit company. The thing about it, what I'm trying to say here is, you need to have, if you got a group of Liberians, they don't necessarily all of them have to be Liberians, but you can join with other people. In fact, there's an example in Liberia right now, when you have RL jail, which is actually Bob Johnson, from BET. Yeah. He actually invested $30 million. But in the end, this investment capital could not really be managed. And this fund was taken over by a Ghanaian who actually today, I think he's from JP Morgan. A Ghanaians who work with JP Morgan have tried to go into a private investment and taking over the bank. So the same thing with another Ghanaian who just GM Bank owner. He worked with a bank in the United States and decided to open branch across in Ghana, and now he's in Liberia. So all I'm saying is that we have to now see the private sector investment opportunity from here and now expand it. If you want, you're not going to be waiting for huge capital investment, but there must be a team and say we are going to put capital together, we'll do capital pool and invest into specific sector. And what I'm saying, the students that are doing applied agriculture, I know it's one of the first case study in Liberia, but majority of the students already have their demonstration fund, and some of them who don't have demonstration fund, they got places they go and work on that. So it's more on the applied program that is going on. But what I'm trying to say here is that we have to be very much structured in our engagement. Let's say you want to look at the agriculture sector. Liberians can say, we want to take over the cocoa rubber plantation in Nimba County have been taken over by an individual, Harrison Canway. He looks for capital, he's looking for financing and goes to government for financing and go to bank and bank not giving it. So he had to go to another country. How many Liberians can say, okay, now we have this investment here. Mr. Canway, we can buy a share, 10%, 20%. This is a capital. We already got $2 million set aside and we are ready to pump it in. You may not be the one to go there. You can stay here and still pump the money. Your money work for you. These are the ideas. These are the essence exercise that we're talking about. And
yeah, tools. We talk about tools.
All right.
Yeah, we talk about tools. So the idea here is that one of the things you mentioned is the tool to facilitate that. Is there a tool to facilitate that? And I think, Alex, you hear him? There's a successful farmer somewhere, and you hear it? We talked about this yesterday. I told him, Mr. Azua, I said there are folks in Liberia who are having cash flow right now, generating it, and they're looking for capital to expand. So, Mr. Azua, just give you one example of how the capital constraints. So one end is the capital constraints for this guy, and then on the other end is that we over here, we don't have a structured way through which we can invest in that. There isn't a middle platform that allows us to invest in it. So now we enter into the relationship dynamic, which is a lot deeper maybe than we may want to be in, because we're looking at this and say, okay, now you want me to put on an investor hat that I've never worn before to really look at this farm in that way. So it's going to be a little bit intimidating for me. But if there's a structure through which I'm placing money in that's guaranteed me a return, and that structure is responsible to do the vetting, to do the analysis, to do the financial analysis, then I feel maybe a little bit more comfortable in the sense of maybe placing that little $10 or $100 or so forth in that, because I kind of know someone is there doing the due diligence. So yes, definitely saying the same thing. And I think we are recognizing that there's a couple of tools gap that are not there. One is knowing, and the other one is how can we then do the transferring of dollars. So that's a very interesting. Thanks for highlighting that.
Let me introduce another dynamic, and this is based on a comment on Facebook from Marie Bade. Marie is saying, and I'm quoting from Marie, say, yeah, after Weah and his criminals have taken all the money from the country. So the issue of corruption or whoever is in power and our political liking to that person or that administration or what we perceive them as doing, that is impacting investment or how you call that, people interest in investing. So definitely anyone who thinks that the Weah administration call them Weah and criminals, that person definitely is not going to invest. So Alex, let me come to you about
I disagree.
Politics and economics, politics and investment, or the political climate investment, or what people think of the leader and investment.
Alex, whip me on this one, so take it easy.
So Mr. King kept me on 4:30 this morning. So we try to answer that question and discuss it. But I totally disagree. When you say investment in America, when you invest in America, are you investing in Donald Trump? That's the question I want to ask that person. When you go in every week, when you work, when they take money from all of your paycheck to go to Social Security or to go to your retirement or your 429 plan for your kids, are you really investing in Donald Trump? And the answer is absolutely not. So when you invest in Liberia, you're not investing in George Weah, hate or like him. You're investing in Liberia. Now, if this was something where the government of Liberia was coming to you and say, come and invest in Liberia, then of course your claims are legitimate. But we are talking, none of, as far as I know, most of our non-government official. I'm not government official. I never worked for any government like Liberia, and probably never will. But I'm just saying, Mr. King, so is Mr. King. Mr. Debo has been a consultant, so he's never ready, to the best of my knowledge, work for Liberian government. So we're not coming here from the position that we're there to support a government, or we're going to take $1 million and give it to Daniel Twer, or give it to, the Central Bank of Liberia. The same way how you invest in America, you're not investing in Donald Trump. You don't take the money in your retirement and give it to the U.S. Treasury Secretary. You go and you buy businesses,
So
or
Alex,
you have a fund manager.
How can you invest in that environment? Pauline Bien says politics play a big role, and that should not be dismissed. Money does not lie.
Absolutely not. And that's why. And that's why, before, like I said, I read, this is not something that I came up with. So all the credit must go to Mr. King. I don't know this man from anywhere. I've never met him. Okay. I read an article of his, and I thought he was an intelligent man. I barely don't know you, Dennis. Maybe we met once in our lifetime. How can we come together and still work on a program in Liberia? I don't know your political affiliation. So the thing is, Liberians have to get out of the stupor that you can't do anything for your country because you don't like the government. Because if that's the case, nowhere in the world will be developed. Now, the question has been is, our educated people, educated finance people have done a horrible job. Meaning, they've been, one, corrupt, okay? Two, self-centered, and they have not been innovative. When somebody tells you that they have an education in America, what the first thing they tell you? I want to be finance minister. I want to be central bank governor. How many Liberian people you know that are educated that tells you, I have no interest in government in Liberia? I'm one of them. No interest ever, because I know that's something that I'm not a kind of person that's going to be in a position and have to bite my tongue about whether it's Salib or Dria. I'm not caught up for that. So my whole life, I focus on the private sector. There are people who want career in government, and that's fine. But this is a private investment initiative that we're trying to think of ideas.
Right. So politics will not be in the way. Let me bring in Mr. Zul.
Absolutely.
Yes. Alice, let me just provide some clarity. To be very frank, when it comes to investment around the world, you have what we call the investment climate. The climate must be conducive to build investors' confidence. In as much as you think that, like Liberians here, they have the responsibility to help their home and invest in their home, the government has to do its own investment in terms of how the government share the resources to make sure that the citizen benefit. Government side of investment could be in role, it has to be in security, it has to be in accountability, transparency, put in place, system put in place. There must be a trust. You know, the first thing about it, you must have a trust in the system before you invest your money. And realistically, one thing that I want to always encourage the Liberians is that, yes, it's true. Not government in Liberia from past to present have not been perfect, but we Liberians ourselves, we have to first of all appreciate the land that God has given us. I made a comment this afternoon on one of our partners' Facebook page, when she looked at the world report, the 10 best countries around the world for tourism, and Liberia was actually among the top 10. And I look at the data, I said, but where did you get a report from? But then I told her, I said, look, we have not really appreciated the land that God had given us. And she started citing some places in Liberia that I know of. I said, oh, yeah, Anna, you're right. And that's an American. But the thing about it is that how do we perceive our own government also has its own psychological impact on our investment decision. And the government itself will also have to demonstrate a leadership. Government has to demonstrate leadership to also reach out and build confidence in the system and in the people so that they can all.
I would love to answer that question. I would love to answer that question.
So
and not only would I love to answer that question, I would love to answer that question with
Alex, you were giving the first chance, so let me just go ahead. So what I'm saying
if that question you're asking, I would let you answer that question. If there's a question somewhere.
I didn't ask question. I'm giving the.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I didn't ask question. But what I'm saying here is that if the caller or listener made a comment on the issue of not having confidence in the system, it's something that the government will also have to work on that because it's part of the investment decision.
All right. Let me bring in my first caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller. Hold on, let me see what I'm doing wrong. Hello, caller.
Hello, caller.
480-296-9006. Caller, your name?
Oh, Charles King.
Charles.
Oh, King. Another CDB King. Welcome, Mr. King.
Mr. King, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
CPO King.
I'm just playing, sir.
Actually,
thank you for calling.
I'm just just listening right now. But I'm very, very interesting so far. But just listening. No questions so far.
Thank you. All right. So there is this question on, and Alex, you say you have answered to that question about the business climate. And I heard you talk about this before, that in the Wild Wild West, the economy was booming.
Yes, that's correct. And again, like I said, look, Mr. Zuo is one of the most finest economists in Liberia, in my opinion. But unfortunately, he's wrong on this one, as do many of the Liberian politicians. I'm going to share a video. I'm going to share here the corruption perception index, okay? And I'm going to use that as a benchmark to show you that most development around the world happens in the worst places. You see this map, you're looking at this beautiful map? Everywhere that you see red are the places that are most corrupt. Everybody watching this? This is 2018. So the only places in the world that are not corrupt or are not as corrupt as Liberia is Canada, America, Norway, and a few places. But you go to Russia. Russia is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. China.
Alex, let me stop you. It's not just corruption; it's chaos, instability.
Okay, so fine. Then let's go to Israel. Israel has one of the most unstable military situation in the world. Iran. Let's look at Iran economy. Since we want to talk about places that people think that because there's corruption, or there's chaos or political instability. So let's look at the world today and look at the largest GDP in the world. And let's look at where they are. So if you go to, and going down the list, these are just the economies, the largest economies in the world: America, Europe, China, okay? And we can go down, even if we go to Middle East, okay? Let's look at Middle Eastern countries where, like, for instance, Turkey. Turkey has one of the most instability right now in the world. Okay, let's look at what the economy is. Okay, if we want to look at the empirical evidence and say that because Liberia has an unpopular president or political instability, that means that you can't have private investment, you can't have banking, you can't have development. There is no economic model to support that idea. And like I just said, whether you look at corruption, look at the most corrupt places in the world that you're looking at. Angola is one of the most corrupt places, a completely what you call police state. Angola has one of the top 5 largest economies in Africa. All this whole area, China, going all the way down to India, going to Brazil, okay? All these places are places where, if you even go to the Middle East, you'll find out that most of these places in the Middle East are in turmoil. Look at Syria. That tells you that there has to be something more that creates growth and development for a country than just the fact that if you are waiting for the perfect president of Liberia, or you're waiting for the perfect a leader in Liberia, okay, good luck to you. It's never going to happen.
Ellis, I disagree with you.
Okay.
The thing about the discussion here is not about leadership.
Okay, show me the evidence.
You're discussing economic investment, and I said a business climate is one of the critical things, and the trust issue got to be there. You're talking
I'm
about
showing you all the countries in the world.
You're discussing Turkish economy and compare that with Liberia. The first thing that there is that you yourself know about domestic production. Turkish has its own, in fact, power base that you cannot even rely on another European state.
Okay, let's look at South Korea. Let's look at Cuba.
You're talking about country that depends on external support to run its economy. There's no.
But that's exactly what we're talking here.
There's no value add. There's no value addition in the economy, and you just think that you're just running money anywhere. No. The first thing that the infrastructure.
I'm not saying that. Look at a country like North Korea. Let's look at North Korea.
I gave you enough time, but let me tell you this. When it comes to investment from government side, government needs to make sure that you have infrastructure. There's no electricity. The cost of investment in Liberia, many companies actually take repatriate their capital out of there because they feel that at a certain point there's no electricity.
And I think that's wrong. The reason why companies are repatriating the capital of Liberia.
Government first of all need to have it in place. So why are you taking it? You want to outrightly say it's not about past government or current government, but these are the reality.
And I disagree with you. That's what I'm trying to say. If people don't go and invest, do you think that, okay, look at Liberia. Why metal steel is in Liberia? If we Liberians are thinking Liberia is so bad, okay, that is so unstable, that is the political climate, then why metal steel and Echo Bank, hold on now, Echo Bank is making hundreds of millions of dollars in Liberia, and you are sitting now in America making zero. If Echo Bank and metal steel can go to Liberia and Firestone, why you and I and the rest of the Liberian people are, if these people think that Liberia is good, where they can go and have investment, then why are we complaining? I'm not saying that it wouldn't help if the government was better. I'm not saying that if you have a system where there's more transparency, there's more investment in the capital, but I'm saying, look at Nigeria. The largest economy in Africa is Nigeria. What's the most corrupt country in Africa? Nigeria. This is not my opinion. This is the Transparency International. Yes, Nigeria right here is one of the most corrupt countries.
Alex,
back your comment. What I'm trying to say is your comment, back your data.
Hold on. You are only stressing corruption. Okay, there's a comment from Dave Jai. He said, but Alex, in those places like Angola, the people are exploited. And for example, Angolans, for example, are very poor at the expense of foreigners. So
is what I'm trying to say is, okay, compared to what? In any argument, you have to look at one, what's the cost compared to what? If you want to compare Angola with Liberia, are you kidding me? Angola has over 20 times the GDP, life standard is higher, human development income is higher. Everything in Angola is 10 times better than Liberia. So I would rather say that, or let's look at Ethiopia and it's another example. Sudan. All these economies are greater than Liberia. Sudan economy is more greater than Liberia.
So for example, in Liberia, where let's assume there's chaos and there's political instability, where specifically can we put our money for it to be safe? You say create a corporation or invest in a company, or how?
And that's the problem. The problem here is Liberian intellectuals or Liberian financial people has been so horrible. So when you talk about what's the richest man in Africa, one of the richest men in Africa, where he comes from? Ethiopia. Why is he has the telecommunication company? Yeah, Dongode. Okay, he's one of them. But why Dongode can make over $10 billion in Nigeria, and you have all the politicians in Nigeria that are complaining every day, talking about corruption, talking about instability, Boko Haram, and this man can still go up, okay, without even a master's degree, not even a high education, not even like somebody who, like most of the people on this panel, but he can go in Nigeria and he can produce wealth, employment. The problem here again is me. And many Liberians don't say that. The problem here is Mr. Williams. Hold on. The problem is Mr. Williams. The problem is Dennis Jar. The problem is Mr. Zuo. We are the problem. Nobody stop us tomorrow if we gather together tomorrow. Let me finish this comment. Nobody stop us in Liberia tomorrow. If you and I were to say, I'm not going to buy a $500 suit, okay? I'm not going to buy a $300 shoes. I'm going to take that money, and Mr. Williams is going to take that money, and Dennis is not going to buy his Nissan or wherever he rides, his BMW. And we went to a Firestone or we went to Liberia and said, let's go into rubber production. You think Judge, we are going to tell us, say, no, we can't go to do rubber production? So the problem here is not so much of the government. The problem is you and I. We are the problem. We sit down and we criticize every government in Liberia, and I'm included, but we don't have a single fund. If you talk about Dongode, Nigeria is one of the most considered one of the most unstable, unfeasible investment places in the world.
Alex, we get your point. Mr. Zuo, what is stopping you? As Alex is saying, what is stopping you? Is it Judge Weah? Is it corruption?
I don't believe government should be stopping people, and I don't think government is stopping anybody.
But is
one of the things that you see over there is that the investment environment in Liberia, where Liberians have not challenged. I think I mentioned this before. Liberians have not challenged themselves. We have not challenged our own system. And Ellis, I mean, one thing I agree. The part I agree with him is that Liberians' own commitment to their investment opportunity and making sure that they are involved in the economy. It's true. Now you see the Indian guy, the Lebanese guy come, the guy consistently remain in the shop and one day and turn to a store, and the man become our employer. But what is there is that there should be policy in place. Government need to have a policy in place to make sure that the Liberians that are also coming to invest, that are investing in the economy, are protected the same way the foreigners are protected. So you cannot rule out the fact that there is Angola and the rest of the places you're looking at, they are indigenous. This is the same conversation you guys had with St. Passing the last time. You don't have lifter.
Okay, let me tell you why the Lebanese man in Liberia is protected.
Hold on, Alex. I want to bring William in this conversation before it becomes a dialogue.
Okay. Mr. Zua, this is something that we have to just recognize it for what it is, which is that other people, other nationals, they invest in their country and they invest their resources. Fair? We know that. We know that in Liberia right now, we remit above 300 million every year to Liberia. People are still doing it. People would do it. I would criticize the government. I would criticize everything in Liberia, and I would turn around next week and I got to pay somebody's school fee. I got to send money for medical. I got to do this and that. I'm going to do that. So what we are trying to communicate here is that we have the ability right now, the system, the way it is right now, that if we mass a pool of investment and we go to our government and we sit at the table with them and have a dialogue, the same concessions, the same contingencies that they've given to foreign companies, we're saying, hey, give us some of those same concessions, give us some of those same things so that we may then begin to be stakeholders in our economy. Yes, we know that there's all these challenges. That is why it has to start with the Liberians, because if we continue to look at all of these ills and we make a decision that we're not going to be willing to invest in the quality of life improvement in our country and be willing to, dare I say sometimes, take a loss for a few years because we're building something, or not realize our cash flow for a few years because we see a bigger picture. We have to go ahead.
Okay, let me stop. In my hand is a piece of cola. So after the show, I can give you a piece. But here is the thing.
Something wise, man.
I don't think Mr. Zuo is coming from from an area to say that has a stand we shouldn't invest in Liberia because
Yes.
I think what he's bringing to the discussion
Table
are
is
saying the
challenges.
the political climate plays a role, and we cannot discount that.
Yes. Yes.
And that's a role that's not going to go away.
No.
And I'm saying we can change it.
Hang on. Like I said, there's three things in life that I believe are considered, in my view, mental illness. One is politics, the other one is love, and the third one is religion. Okay? If you wait for the day where Liberians will come together politically, hell will freezes. First of all, look at it. Let me just finish my comment. Let me just finish my train of thought. Look at this America here.
No, the premise is not correct. Nobody is advocating for a perfect Liberia before they invest.
Okay, so what kind of Liberia? Give me a country that you would like Liberia to be with. And
no,
I don't want us to be distracted. I don't want us to be distracted from this conversation. Instead of making a debate to say we are going for debate, we identify the challenges and propound solution.
Exactly.
There's a solution on the table already. You want to see the solution? Mr. Zuo.
I am propounding here
Mr. Zuo, muted him.
Yes, I'm propounding here that in as much as we want to make sure that the diaspora program in Liberia will do diaspora engagement, the best option that there is, first of all, we should empower ourselves as Liberians and make sure that we do capital mobilization and look at sector invest in it. I have not said that we shouldn't invest because government, bad government, or good government. You won't accept people across the world to say this is a good government. Government has never been good anywhere in the world. So all I'm saying here is that Liberians here, some of them still have the skepticism about what government does. Government is supposed to provide the environment, investment climate to be conducive. What it is very much important here, one point that I made here clear is that how many Liberians that are putting down and say, we're going to mobilize $2 million to go into what? Fishery, for example. And that itself, once that decision is made, they go to fishery and invest into fishery, they become owner. And that means that they are actually Liberians that will be providing job and opportunity for other people. But the thing about it is that equally so when a Liberian happen to go to invest into fishery, it means that there should be an opportunity for him. The same way you have an Indian coming or a Chinese coming and being given a duty-free or some kind of waiver, it should be given to the Liberian.
Well, so, listen, it is. The point here is, Mr. Zuo, listen, if you're running a business, all right, and in America here, the banks and the businesses, they bribe Congress through lobbyists, correct? They spend billions of dollars on Washington, D.C., the pharmaceutical company, okay, the technology company, Google. That's how they're able to get grants. ExxonMobil, for example, that made over almost like $10 billion or more. They pay no taxes. You think how that happened? You think that happened just because it was sitting down in Texas or wherever, and the government just say, you know what, you guys are so... No. As a businessman, if a Lebanese man is going to bribe the government and I'm running a business, I'm going to bribe the government. Okay?
All right.
Because what? Hold on, hang on here. Because my duty as a businessman, as a leader, okay, is to my shareholders. So if Liberians are my shareholders, I'm going to go head to head with every Lebanese man, with every Indian man, with every Westerner. That's how business is done. Maybe this business is not a church where you say, oh, this guy, he's not playing fair. In this great country that we live in.
You sound like Trump.
No, you guys are putting words in the man's mouth. He just told you, Robert used the term lobbyist because he used the term that we all can understand.
No,
so he said lobbyist.
Exactly. What I'm saying is if a Lebanese man goes to Liberia and whatever means he used to get contract or metal steel, if I am the CEO of a Liberian company, I will even do worse to get that contract. I will fight that Lebanese man to the nail. But Liberian people, Liberian, the problem here is this. Every Liberian that I have known that is educated wants to be in politics. Why is Cummins a man who has not had any political career, a man who has built his career on cooperation, on creating jobs, on selling product, okay? He's not coming to Atlanta to run for mayor or coming to Atlanta to run for House of Representatives, but he takes all his experience and his expertise and where he puts that energy in to go to Liberia to run for politics. Then when I see that completely as, yes, a man who don't have any experience in politics, and the only thing that all Liberians want to do is they want to be government officials. If Cummins decided tomorrow, say, I want to compete against the Lebanese men, or the Nigerians, or the Ghanaians, or the people in America, you think Cummins can open a company, a mining company in Liberia with the wealth that he has? So that we are the problem again. I don't
able to do that. So Ellis, we're
shifting the problem to the government.
I think you gotta control the tongue a little bit, but you gotta he wants to come in.
That's why I was getting last night. That's why I was getting last night.
Because the thing about it here is,
Mr. Zuo, this is where I want us to shift the I think we have discussed that at length. But all of you are in agreement. Okay?
No, I'm not.
So no,
I'm not, Mr. Dennis.
No, yeah,
I'm saying that these young people, I've seen these smart people that you have on there, these very smart, beautiful people, they are the problem to Liberia, including me.
Alex, so what can we do now as of today? I think that's where the discussion should go.
We have to make a commitment. We have to make a commitment that...
Alex, I've heard you. Zuo, what do we do? William, what do we do? Where do we start from?
I think what I said earlier is that we need to do saving accumulation and people do capital pool in the sense that you have 4 or 5 Liberians can now learn to trust each other. Here, and this is the fundamental problem. There are Liberians here who have capital should learn to trust each other and say, we are going to register a business and go and invest in Liberia. And there are so many areas of opportunities. You look at fishery. It's a big market. It's a big market that up to now, you don't have Liberians there. You need someone who drive it as an indigenous Liberian business owner, and the off-taker, someone who serves as off-taker for the sector. You also need someone and say, look, for example, you want to look at the alluvial mining is another area that is clear in Liberia that many of the people do the alluvial mining, and that itself is also affecting the environment. You can say, look, you can go into our mining, and the mining certificate is not expensive, especially so class C, class B, and class A. You can now go into that sector and do value addition to the mining process so that Liberian will benefit. Until we can do that, it will be a difficult thing. What is very much fundamental here is that this issue of trust among Liberians is very much critical, even if it's not only with government. That people who are supposed to be good friends don't trust each other to even make business together. So what's about going back home to make business? So it's about time now that Liberians need to build that cohesion and see how best we can invest in our economy. The next thing that there is that we need to change the mindset. Let me say this clearly. I did an article yesterday, and later on I decided not to publish it because what is happening there is that the younger generation, we have not had the opportunity to see entrepreneurs. Like Ed is saying, most of the politicians, most of the educated people feel that the only source of earning income is through public sector. So therefore, they have used this, even if you go and check, they say the richest Liberians, the wealthier Liberian, you go and Google it today, you will only see only politicians being listed as the wealthier people, rich people, with the exception of Floyd Thomas from Sunny College. But you realize that people, Liberians, feel that the source of wealth, source of income is through our public sector. We need to change the mindset that without public sector, you can go into private sector and become an engine, private sector engine of growth. You can become a major actor and change the system around. Like we look at most of the politicians, Bernard Ure, he make money, and in the end, he got the money from public sector, but he diverted the private sector, he expanded his way. He's the richest Liberian. So what do we do? So it's about time that Liberians that are here, in Europe, in Australia. In fact, by the way, the Liberians in Australia are now coming over high figure in terms of income and investment in Liberia than those in America right now. And that's the engagement that the government need to do. What is important here is that we had a diaspora engagement office before at the Ministry of State. It's about time for the government to now turn around and say, look, let's go out. In as much as we are looking for a multinational corporation to come to Liberia, there are some Liberians who already have capital. Why can't we encourage them to come and invest? So they should be in a position to open up for them.
Thank you. We can go on forever. Okay, there are questions here. Number one, Patricia Logan said to you, Alex, is it, but Cummings already has businesses here in Liberia. Pauline Beyonce, Cummings is retired and can do anything he wants with his life. That's his choice. So I don't want us to make it a Cummings issue, but you brought up his name like more than once. So I just wanted to tell you the feedback we are getting about Mr. Alexander Cummings. But let me go to you, Al, and we're going to end this thing not too long.
Okay.
Mr. King, what do we do from here? Day one?
I think to what Mr. Zoa said is he basically lists out some of those things that we can definitely do. I think one of the things I want to add is just that we want to look at a structured way that we can do that. That's available, whether it's through the Security and Exchange Commission in the United States of America, because I think that will maybe put Liberians at ease when they know that we're being governed by the financial sector in the U.S., which has very, very strict laws. And if you do anything crazy, you definitely going to go to jail. So yeah, we just need to continue to build, listening to what is being said and incorporate that in a format that we know that we can address some of the concerns and just present that as an option for Liberians who would like to maybe take a chance and just see how it goes and see what happens. But definitely have a very, very, very high respect for individuals' capital and, checking boxes 2 to 3 to 4 times, because ultimately you have to respect people investment. Thank you.
Mr. Alex, I don't want it to appear that those on Facebook are beating on you. Mr. Solomon back on tour. I agree with you, Alex. 90% of our educated elders want to be in politics. That is why we need like-minded people like you guys to join us, change this business. To change this, business is a secure job. So let's. I
would say amen to that.
Okay, let me bring in one more caller so that we can close. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Stephen Adams. Interesting debate.
Say that again. Your name again?
Stephen Adams.
Oh, Stephen Adams. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our business and economic.
Thank you very much.
Your question or comment?
Great. My comment is a lot of great ideas have been raised by the panelists. One of the things the panelists they are forgetting is that until you have some of the fundamental fabric of a sound society established, built, no amount of cash infusion by indigenous is going to help us. First of all, I think to accomplish some of the objectives that have been preferred on this debate this evening, we first of all have to develop the key components of a society. Like our education system has to be standardized and strengthened. Our judicial system has to be standardized and strengthened. We need to create a system where our legislators are independent. And then you can begin to have people getting together to begin to make contributions to the society by pooling funds and creating companies and things of that nature. As it stands now in Liberia, if you were to pool funds and something were to happen in the country itself, what judicial system going to adjudicate the case? You know, it's almost zero. We don't have a functioning judiciary. We don't have a literate force to work in the various companies that you are now talking about.
Mr. Adam?
Yeah.
Okay, was that all that you have expressed very good? Were those things in place before Firestone when they make money, before Metal Steel, before the Lebanese and all the Fuller people went and make money? What do you say to that argument?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. If you're gonna be operating under the supposition that you're just gonna go make money for yourself, then of course you can go and be co-opted by the corrupt society and negate the happenings for the general population. I'm talking about people coming in, creating systems, and not operating under the concept of narrowness of soul, which is just for me, I, and my family, but operating in an environment where you're going to begin to create wealth, not for only you,
right,
but wealth for our entire society,
fair
and
point,
pulling some of the people up by the bootstrap, thus creating a functioning middle class in the society. If you're going to go by what Firestone and Lebanese are doing, then we're always going to be a dysfunctional society, not being able to look like other communities around the world.
Thank you. That's a fair point. Mr. Jones, if you want to go with your Donald Trump style of business, yes, you can make money for yourself.
I'm not going with Donald Trump style of business. So let's get this real clear. And I don't believe
your reaction to what they call it.
All I'm saying here is very simple. Okay, I go to Washington D.C. sometimes, and when I go, the first thing I want to do is I want to eat African food. Okay, and where can I get a good Liberian restaurant in Washington D.C. that is nice? The ambiance is nice. I can't find it. I go to Philadelphia. Okay, I used to live in New York City. If Liberians cannot come together in America where there's law, there's order, there's capital, there's everything, I do not believe they will be able to come together in a place that's dysfunctional. My argument is this. In order, whether you do it in Liberia or you do it in Lebanon or you do it, the reason why the Lebanese can go to Liberia because they're able to unite regardless of where they are. They're able to bring their capital, their minds, their resources together, no matter whether they're in Beirut or they're in, China. The difference with Liberians is like, we don't want to, we're looking for this perfect world that would never exist. In America, I study finance, I read about finance, I study economics. I do not know a single country in the world, okay, where you can tell me there's half of a perfect system. If you're talking about the UK is one of the most corrupt places in terms of how people get things done, how you buy property, how you get businesses, whether you run a hedge fund or not. So that system is not going to exist in Liberia. But does that mean that a child cannot get a good education, or a mother cannot get work, or a husband cannot get a job? If we're looking for that system, we're not going to find it. So what can we do now? We can do the same thing that America is doing, China is doing. China does not have a democracy. China has a communism system. How is China able to take 300 million people, including your Alibaba? Everything you buy on your eBay or your Amazon today, chances are over half of it comes from China. And they don't even have a democracy. And I listen to Liberian people with this democracy thing. We're looking for this perfect system. It does not exist. It does not exist in America because much of American history, people were suppressed. They did not have a say in the country. So what I'm saying here is what Mr. King has said was, look, we can, whether we invest in Liberia or we invest in Nukutan or invest in Philadelphia, let Liberians come together. When you see a Liberian doing something, you go there as a corporate effort and you start to build that network. That's how Lebanese people are making it in Liberia. They are a network of people. We are not a network. If I see Mr. Ja doing something, the first thing I want to do is I want to bring him down. Okay? I want to compete against him. So we got to stop that. We got to say that, hey, let's go as a corporate entity. And when I say that we are the problem, I'm the problem, I don't take that lightly, because maybe I may look at, okay, I have a job. I don't really need Liberia. Okay, so therefore I don't participate. I don't go out. I don't show my passion. I watch probably U.S. political system more than I watch Liberia. I contribute to American system. I pay almost 35% taxes in America, and my own country is there. So I'm the problem. And I just want you should also look in the mirror, and while we putting the blames on somebody else, and the caller I called earlier about comments, look, I don't know the man, okay? I don't know the man, and hopefully maybe some point we'll meet or not, but I'm just saying that everybody cannot be politician. You need managers, you need accountants, you need investment banker, you need administrators. And if all our people just think that the only way to move Liberia forward is to go into politics and become senator and representative, we've tried out for 100 over 70 years. It hasn't worked. Let's try something different.
So what can we try for you to conclude?
Let us get together in America, and let us start working together where we are. Even if we don't invest in Liberia, even if we don't put one stake in Liberia, but we have a market here. Why are we going to dinner Friday night? We go to restaurant, hamburger joint. We go to Mexican restaurant. We go to American clubs. We buy American. What you look at all these other communities, the Asian people you talk about, the very hair that all women that will pay $500 for them to wear the beauty hair. Do you think we will be selling hair? So we're not people who come together. And in business, if you don't come together, you're out. So that's what we can do right now. We can get together as a people on a commercial level and forget about some of the politics, rhetoric, and come together and say, look, this person is doing something small in Minnesota. They're very good at it. Let's go and put hands around them. And when we start doing that, then maybe we'll build a confidence in each other. I see Mr. Zua, you started an insurance company. Hey, can you bring me in? I want to buy a 5% share. If we start doing that, then we build trust. Yeah. That's what I'm seeing. That's my solution. Do it where you are, not tomorrow.
Hello? Hello, may I make a comment? May I make a comment? Charles King, CTO King.
Okay, Charles, go ahead.
I'm the brother of William. But who was speaking just now?
Alex.
Because I love what Alex, I loved what you said. That is exactly what we need to do. And I'm on board. I can give you my name, my number, you call me, and we talk about getting together as Liberians. We have to do that here. This is such a wonderful forum. William had told me about it, and I joined. And this is what we need to do. We need to come together as Liberians here and show what we can do. And then we can move into our home and make it better for even those that are there. All comments that have been said here are good. And so I just wanted to make that comment. And Alex, my name, Charles King. My number is 480-296-9006. Please give me a call.
I will reach you. Your brother be giving me a hard time. Your brother been keeping me off 4:30 in the morning. I got to go to work. So he's a smart man, and I love working with him. So no problem. I'll reach out to you. And Mr. Zuo there too is one of my brothers. Like I said, we disagree on some things, but we come together and we're working on it. Mr. Jai is another good guy that I think that we need to support. When I came to this forum, okay, I didn't know him. I knew him briefly in Atlanta when I lived there. But I saw he was doing something good. I could have gone and set up my own station or my own Facebook thing. But what I told him, I said, let's work together. And how long now? We've been working together for over 2 months. So let us stop the politics and this pie in the sky, and let us work together. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Call me. You have a business plan? Call me. You have an investment? Call me. I want to be a part of your business. You want to sell hair? You want to open a restaurant? You want to do whatever? Let us start working together. Yeah, then that way when we go to Liberia, the people will see that we're already united. And that's what Mr. King is talking about.
Thank you, Alex. And we are delighted to have all of you focus on Liberia. We're even trying to grow this network. So if you are somewhere, the whole idea of coming together is a very beautiful thing. Because take, for instance, we have all these social media platforms. There are 7 days a week, 24 hours in each day. We don't broadcast every day. you have your show and you are doing it Facebook live, we can all pull together and divide the hours. Each of you take 1 hour and we broadcast on Focus on Liberia. We attract people to watch the show. Then we have a pool of people watching. Now, because we have 10,000 people watching, we sell ads to them, right? Because we pull in our resources together. That way, we are able to sell ads, we are able to grow, we are able to make money. And so then we move from being something that we do for passion, for, as a free thing, to making money and building the Liberian CNN.
In our country.
Mr. Zuo, let's.
And if I can add one more thing
Okay.
add one more thing that I heard that was so important, and it was a billionaire was talking, and he was asked what made him so successful, and there were two things that he said that really stuck out to me. One was hard work, so we know that. The second that he said was mentorship. His mother continued to, to encourage him throughout his career, throughout his life. And so we take that, and I think that's what we need to do as Liberians, to mentor our fellow Liberians as we begin here in the U.S., but also at home, because we all have contacts in Liberia who are very trustworthy, who want to do, who are entrepreneurs. They have their small businesses. Like you said, we can feed into them, we can mentor them. And I will say, I'm doing that with a couple of men in Liberia, very good friends of mine. And so I just want to encourage each and every one of us.
Please come on the show, sir. Mr. King, you are invited on the show. We're going to be moving to Saturday so people in Liberia can watch the show. And we're going to give you an invitation. Please come, bring your expertise, and let's talk economics and business. I really appreciate you. And all
you
the
got
people
it. I'm in. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. And I'm sorry, one comment says, sadly, most of us, we don't have the resources to compete with the foreign businesses who have our leaders in their pockets. But that's which is true. But let's end this tonight, and I will go to Mr. Zuo first for your final comments. This week, we're going to begin our Business and Economic Forum on Saturday. We are moving to Saturday. Wednesday will be free. So if you are interested, you have an idea, or you have a show that you want to have on the on Focus on Liberia, give us a call. Let's plug this in and move forward. Mr. Zuo, your final thoughts on this very important topic.
I think where I started from, Alice had joined me in a sense that it things should start with ourselves, with people that are living in the United States, to learn to put food fund together, investment fund together, build coalition, make sure that you do capital pool so that you can have the strength to go out. And the last thing I just want to say here is that we have to create the awareness for economic sensitivity, not political sensitivity. The thing about the comment from the last comment you just read, I want to say to all Liberians, sometimes we get discouraged thinking that, okay, government official or people into politics, the moment you start thinking about the investment more, the more you have interest in it. So there are many young people in Liberia. I tell you that today you go to Liberia, there are so many young people that are making money, that are doing business. They can compete with a foreign national. They can go and challenge the government official who want to put foreign interest first. The only thing that there is for them to make sure that they have the capacity to do it. They have the capacity to invest. It's not about talking. They need to really show that indeed I have the money to compete with this guy. And always giving the example here with the city of Ganta in Liberia. You will not see any Indian or Lebanese man in Ganta as we speak, because the media was stiff competition and they all left. We need to do the same thing at real life, Pinsway market. We got to do that, Douala, so the expansion can be there. Instead of going to politics, what is very much important is to discourage individuals who wanting to discourage investment. It's always good to do that. So thank you so much. On Saturday, I hope I can get somebody from Liberia that we can now discuss on the ground. instead of us discussing from internet perspective.
Or for the air conditioning room, as you said it, right?
Yes. So, so I want someone who is into the business. If it's possible, you know, you can get the Flor Thomas who providing the energy support from Cote d'Ivoire to Liberia. What are the opportunities there? So let's see what it looks like to get someone from Liberia. Unfortunately, the idea that King brought, the Central Bank of Liberia is selling, you know, the Central Bank bill. They have a bill, but I called the director to come, the manager to come online to see what are the opportunities. It's only been sold to commercial banks. It's something that you can also do it with Liberians abroad, they can buy. But it's something that they too have stayed away, and we hope that since we are going to Saturday, then they will have time to come on board. We can discuss it better. But I want to say thank you for the opportunity. Liberians, we should be more positive and passionate about our own economy. No one can do it better than we ourselves. And I like my man Paul Kagame always say, the homegrown solution. So we need to find homegrown solution to Liberia's problem.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ellis, you can conclude also and talk about your homegrown solutions.
Amen to that. Well, I just said, Janice, it's been a pleasure as we conclude the Wednesday program, which meant that some of us had to come from work on Wednesday and make sure that we get here and provide this forum. It hasn't been always easy, but your vision to bring Liberians together to promote literature, art, business, finance, you know, it's one of those things that I have a lot of respect for you. Like I said, I don't know you. This is not a private entity. Nobody getting any check or nobody supporting any party. But you came up with an idea and you devoted the time to give us all a platform. And we thank you for that. And what we're saying tonight is we didn't wait for the Liberian government to come and create a media in America or focus on Liberia. We didn't wait for Liberia to be corruption-free or for it to be peaceful. You call me or I call you and we say, you know what, let's work on something where we can be Mr. Zoe. I remember Mr. Zoe when the first night he came from Liberia. He came on the show, and ever since he's been a trailblazer. He's brought us a Liberian ambassador. I talk to him regularly. So we form in this camaraderie. And that's all we need first. We need to know each other and play and be able to interact with each other. Once we can do that, that's what they call in the corporate world the country club. We go on Saturday, we play golf, and we determine what's going to happen on Monday. So this is our own little country club. If we can come together as Liberians and we start talking to each other and start investing among each other. I'm not perfect. You call one of my ex-girlfriends, you'll find out I'm not perfect. I'm not professed to be. But what I'm saying is I care for my country. And I know I'm responsible too that my country is in the shape that it's in. And I want to do something about it. And I'm not in Liberia, but what can I do here in America? I can support FOL. I can support other initiatives. I can mentor in Liberia. And so we start thinking that way and they put the politics around, because I see a lot of young people divided, household divided, you know, the one person for the other person, the other person for the other person. Politics been around since the world was started, okay? Machiavelli. It's not going to go away. So let's start, it's not going to go away. And politics have never made any country rich. It's business and economics and universities and education. So I'm just appealing to all my friends from both sides. Henry Costa, come, let's talk. Josh Weir, come, let's talk. Samuel Tour, come, let's talk. Let's talk about solution. How we can Starbucks make a lot of money on coffee. We have a big coffee market in Liberia. Why can't you call? Let's go, you know, play Ludo, golf, wherever you play, and we think about how we can create that market to create jobs. You come to America, you go to IMF. IMF don't care about your country. We have to take our own initiative. I'm sorry I'm passionate tonight. I mean, maybe it's the last show for Wednesday, but I'm very passionate, so I will shut up.
And I'm gonna say hold it there, because one thing I want to assure you, you said we can ask your ex-girlfriend about.
Yeah, they will say a lot of bad things about it. So a lot of them will say good things too, though.
We don't have a luxury of time because God knows how many. That was a joke.
That's perfect. I just want to say that, but I want to see the country do well.
But I want to thank all of you. And you were talking about businesses. Look at cola. Cola can be the best dieting supplement you can ever find, because I remember our parents go on the farm and they just eat cola and they stay hungry.
And it's
So this
and the Viagra too, I hear it has some medicinal benefits.
I don't know about that.
Alex, let me say this, Mr. Dad.
Yeah.
So instead of the Viagra and the Cialis, we can start doing research, cola or not, and we can come up with the next drug in the world. People, let's come together.
Come on, let me hear from Mr. Zuo so we can close the broadcast.
Yes, Mr. Jai, let me say this. I mentioned earlier that I was writing something, I posted up to it because I don't want to be seeing more political nowadays. This week, 3 things happened. You had 3 young youth group, 3 different youth group having press conference.
Yeah.
And I put all 3 of the video together and watched it from the start of the press conferences to the end. And realized that very energetic young people are fighting to defend
each other,
defend politicians and who are all millionaires. So the question there is, how many of them are fighting to become millionaires? How many of them are fighting to become entrepreneurs? So is there a way that we can change the story around? And that's a concept I developed, but now MC, I think there's a need now. The Saturday program will be calling, there's a young lady who actually, she had her own blog. She talked about entrepreneurship. She used to be at the NRC. She graduated from China. I discussed with her. I want her to come and just talk about youth entrepreneurship. So let the young people listen to another view instead of thinking about Zekwe. Let's listen to a young person, how to start business, how to run a business, so that they can have passion for that too, so that tomorrow we'll have more stores, more shop, more investment, more corporation in Liberia than to have many militants and generals, political generals across the country.
Especially when I see that funny looking thing on the head, red beret or something in khaki, and I say, oh God, who gave these kids, who can give them direction? To be in politics, we all did that, but this is just extreme. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tonight. Friday, sometimes we I focus on Liberia, we like to mix it up. So this Friday, we're going to have a debate, and the debate is between Mr. Josh P. Lobo of the Drive and Mr. Gibson Jeru of from the House's Mouth. Those are our top debaters. And what we're going to be talking about is, does the Liberian opposition represent a viable alternative to the WIA administration? We want to vet everybody. Enough of the WIA. We want to say opposition. When you have a vibrant opposition, that will help to hold the government's feet to the fire. That can show us the alternative of what can be done. All that can help to move the country forward. So watch out for that on Friday at 7 p.m. Again, I want to thank you guys for your time. I want to thank all our people on Facebook for your comments, those who call in. We want to say thank you very much. And what a way to end it then. This song by our sister called Thank You, God. Is it Gribble? Tato, this one.
All right, guys.
Amen. We just want to say thank you, Lord. And thank you to all of you for watching tonight. Have a good night. Thank you.